I rescued this drill. It was sat in the yard out in the rain a few weeks ago, and at least now it's under these solar panels, and I've soaked a lot of it in oil. It's an old Denbigh drill, old Denbigh pillar drill, and I've got some of it working, but there's one or two things that need addressing, and I thought I'd just cover them just in case somebody knew something about these. It's heavy duty for a small workshop, but at least it's rescued now and it's not rotting away anymore. So it was flat belt drive, and I used to have one of these years ago, but a shed tidying out and all that lot, and it went. So the flat belts used to go down to a pulley down there, but all the pulley and the motor arrangement has disappeared. You can just about see the mounting areas there, so that's sort of not too worried about, because we can get round that and we can probably improve things. The gearbox here that looks like it's 1-to-1. You try and get it into the other gear and it doesn't want to go, so we'll have to have a look at that and see what's happening. It's just two screws holding the top on, and I assume it's very agricultural in there. Maybe it's rust, maybe the selector forks are worn out, I'm not sure, but we'll have a look. This side, there's the main drive pulley, and then there's another set of flat belt pulleys there which go down to here, and this is the power drive for the quill. It's seized up, which is a bit of a pain, but the whole thing, the quill still moves on manually, but it would be nice to get the power drive working at some point. From what I remember, and I've tried to de-seize this, these move backwards and forwards to bring the power drive into operation. But let's just see. There we go. That's also an engagement, and here there's an adjustable stop which switches it out, and we've got aeroplanes. Noisy. So that knocks that out of gear, but when it's in gear, that's solid, as in this is solid and this doesn't engage, so we've got to have this whole gearbox apart at some time. Now, bearing in mind this is all cast iron from, I don't know, 1910, something like that. We'll have to be very careful because the cast may be good, maybe not. It's got loads of little oilers here, so I've soaked everything, and there's a cap here, and I've put a load of very thick oil down there. So I've oiled everything just to get everything soaked, let it soak down the threads, etc., and then in a month's time or something give it another go. The spindle was seized, but luckily the soak for a couple of days and a little bit of jiggle it freed off, and the thrust bearing here was still quite oily, which is great. And this is a number 3 Morse taper, and unfortunately this is the only number 3 drill I've got, so I'll have to at some point find a number 3 a chuck with a number 3 Morse taper on it, and if I can come up with any drills, brilliant. But it's for heavy duty stuff, as far as I'm concerned anyway. And I freed off the rise and fall. There's a lock here, like that. Now hopefully I won't get in the way, and it does rise and fall, which is great. Again, a good soaking, and then just getting it to move backwards and forwards gently. That's great. It's really quite a nice action. So the plan, hopefully, is to take the top of the gearbox off, and it's only a 2-speed gearbox, just to see what's going on there. And I'm assuming those flat belt pulleys are pinned or grub screwed onto the shaft. I can see a grub screw with a square head if you look down the opening there. So I have to take that shaft out, undo the bearing at the end, and then press, hopefully, the shaft out, and then I can put a V-belt on that. And in the shed somewhere I've got a Reliant gearbox, and then an electric motor, and then we'll have 4 speeds in the Reliant gearbox, and then maybe some adjustment on the belts, and then we'll have hopefully this 2-speed here, and that'll be enough, because this is for big drills and it's for going slow. You don't need something this big to drill 1/4-inch holes. So hopefully I can get a chuck for that Morse taper number 3, and I've got all the other bits, and then we can get a usable machine that is not out in the wet rotting away.